Thank you, Chairman. You spoke so well about the issues that we see down at our southern border related to drones coming across with all the drugs, killing our people from the bad hombres we have on our southern border. We have to stop it. I'd like to talk a little bit about drones in the airspace, specifically, airports, concerned about the airports, right? A bad actor with bad intentions entering restricted airspace over one of our airports. And Sergeant Dooley, I'm looking at you, I'm thinking about Florida. You got about 400 airports. Your responsibility, so what does a medium-sized airport do? You detect the airport, at the airport. Drone comes in, restricted airspace. What's your response?
So normally, I'll give you an example. We've done some really different things in South Florida, especially Miami International Airport, as an example, has a drone problem, and we've partnered with our FAA partners, DHS, et cetera, entities that are allowed, without question, to detect or mitigate because we recognize there was an issue, and we incorporate a lot of our public safety in the area, Miami-Dade, et cetera, and we were involved as well. And we're able to go out there and start intercepting, but from a perspective of an airport that simply has the ability to detect, I mean, there's really nothing they can do other than watch it, honestly.
Do you see how stupid that sounds?
It does.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
So I like the idea we can detect. We can detect. All these airports we can detect. A drone. Well, if it's being operated by an individual with some bad intentions, you'll just catch it on video. The destruction of you're going to have it on, you can detect it. But there's nothing to mitigate that drone. And this is airports, so correct me if I'm wrong, sorry, but this is airports across the entire country.
Yes, that's correct. There may be some that have specialized, but for the bulk of it, no.
Well, I think Ms. Cahill brought up a few of the agencies that have the ability to mitigate a drone. Dr. Wallace, is there, I hear these arguments, I'm on the Transportation Committee, I hear all these arguments about, you can't mitigate the drone because it could interfere. It could interfere with commercial aviation, all this. Is there technology available out there that could mitigate a drone without interfering with our commercial air?
There are certainly several technologies that are available for mitigation.
Sure.
Each of those technologies have their own benefits and limitations.
Sure, but that's an excuse that I hear over and over again. It's going to interfere with the aircraft that are coming in. I said, interfere with the aircraft coming in. The damn drone could take down one of our aircraft. You talked a little bit about what we're seeing in Ukraine with the complex missions that some of these drones are taking. I'm appalled over the fact that I was in Milwaukee and I went to visit the airport. We were talking about drones and I was inside there and I said, well, what happens if a drone gets into this red airspace or this restricted airspace? Well, we know it's there. I said, well, what do you do? Well, we try to call somebody. What do you do? Yeah, we try to find a guy. He could be a couple blocks, couple miles away in the backyard, and we'll knock on the door. I said, well, what if that guy has bad intentions? But then, when we have a significant event, we'll bring in the Coast Guard, and the Coast Guard would have the ability to mitigate the drone and send it out to Lake Michigan or set it down. So the idea to say that, well, we have to be careful here that the drone doesn't fall down and hit somebody in the head. I think the technology is there to take control of the damn drone and get it out of the restricted airspace. And the idea that we have to be worried about not offending somebody, it's in restricted airspace. And at some point in time, Mr. Feddersen, we're gonna have a drone operated by some bad hombres over here, interfering with some commercial airliners, running into the engines and causing problems. But then, maybe then, is when we will actually get serious about mitigating the risks of these drones, because there's gonna be millions of them out there. And the bad guys are understanding these are pretty, you can put some pretty good payload on some of these drones. They're relatively inexpensive, right? And so I am deeply concerned, Sergeant Dooley, about the U.S. government's position on this, whether it's Section 49, it's a federal offense. That just makes me sick to think this is a federal offense for state individuals, state officials, to protect their own airports in their own state. We must change. We must change. I yield.
Gentleman yields. We appreciate that. And Chair recognizes now the gentlelady from Georgia, Ms. McBath.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. We know that drones, as I've stated and many have stated in this hearing, drones have been used to smuggle drugs, weapons, and phones into prisons and across our borders. And as I mentioned in my opening remarks, this is already happening in Georgia. Drones present a significant risk to the safety of inmates and staff. Dr. Cahill, your written testimony notes that your team has worked with Alaskan correction facilities to detect and to track and to identify the drones that are being used to smuggle contraband into the prisons. So, but you also, you said this is a widespread problem, but can you talk about, you said that you've had difficulty in getting law enforcement to address the rogue UAS, and so including at correctional facilities. So could you explain the source of the hesitancy?
So, Ranking Member, the reality is when we have dealt with our law enforcement, they're skeptical of a new technology until it's proven, because they have so many things on their plate that it's a challenge for them to learn something new and be able to work with it. So we had hesitancy in our correctional facilities for installing one of these systems. The moment we did and were able to confirm some of their intelligence that there was a contraband drop occurring, and we were able to track the drone, identify where the hand controller for the operator was, we changed their opinion. As soon as we gave them that briefing, the answer was, could you please train us this afternoon? And we did. And they've spread that story to additional correctional facilities, and they've accepted it. So they have a very targeted, very limited area that they need to protect. The police and the Alaska State Troopers who have much wider ranges, for them, we are severely understaffed. And so a malicious drone doesn't mean anything compared to a wife beating or a major traffic accident in the middle of nowhere. So the priority is not there to be able to do these additional duties associated with monitoring the technologies and determining how to interact with them.
Could you kind of explain to me, when the drones are seized in these crimes, what type of digital forensics can be performed on them, and what data can be extracted or recovered from a seized drone?
So, Ranking Member, we don't actually do the forensics on the drones. People do, for example, the Pacific South Palisades case where the drone hit the Super Scooper firefighting aircraft. They were able to do a forensic analysis because the drone was stuck in the wing of the aircraft. But in a lot of these cases, all we see are the tracks, and we may know if it's a Group 1 or a Group 2, which is a size category, but we don't know a whole lot about that aircraft because we have to obey Title 18 and Title 49, which means we cannot break into the communications link for that aircraft without permission, the 124N authority, for example. So we as a state university do not have that, but the partners we have who do, they are able to get more information in terms of what the serial number is, what type of aircraft it is, so they can say it's a DJI Mavic, for example. So it really is a function of what you have. What we are doing when we're using passive RF for triangularization is we are looking for basically somebody yelling. And we have a network of sensors, and we determine the direction from which the yelling is coming. And that lets us find the drone and the operator. And we will be able to track where the drone is and where the operator is. And in the recent case with the Juneau glacial outburst flooding, we set up a system. We were able to determine where the controller was, where the drone went and landed. Local law enforcement went to that location and knocked on doors and found the perpetrator.
So then would you say that local law enforcement is able then to kind of build a criminal case from the data that they're able to extract, but you can't do it, but they can?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Sergeant Dooley, what are the greatest legal and technical hurdles in actively countering a drone in real time?
So just to the doctor's point again, we do have legal constraints. We would violate about 15 different U.S. codes by simply frequency jamming or mitigating, all kinds of FAA rules, regulations, FCC, et cetera. And most of those carry jail time and significant fines as well. And a lot of our colleagues would say, like, oh, well, we're public safety. If we have to do what we have to do. The problem is to your point earlier, mitigating a drone, and it may have had a legal right to be there, and they made an honest mistake, there's still a tremendous amount of consequence that comes with that. But our biggest hurdle are all the existing codes. Our laws just simply do not keep up with the rate that technology progresses and the way that it can be manipulated for bad. So those are some of the biggest hurdles we have is Title 18, pen trap, wiretapping laws, et cetera, that are of huge concern when we do want to not only detect that a drone is there, but be able to mitigate it away. We would be violating about 15 different title codes and also Title 18 and 49 as well.